Now I'm going to assume that most of you are familiar with this boot right here, the $200 Puma King Platinum. It features a super thin kangaroo leather upper, it features a rapid sprint sole plate and stud pattern taken from the Puma 1, and the overall silhouette of the boot, as you can tell, is very low profile and honestly quite speed boot-esque for a boot in this particular category. We now have an improved variation, however, in the form of the limited edition Puma King Platinum Lazertouch, which at a quick glance, it looks like it's the exact same boot, but when you get up close, you can see some interesting patterns here on the surface of the upper. That's not just there for the sake of design, that's what they call laser touch technology, where they actually have laser cut synthetic material fused to the surface of the thin kangaroo leather upper to provide additional grip on the ball. Now obviously we live in a day and age where football boots are getting more and more complex with all these new technologies being introduced, but as I've mentioned many times before on the channel, what I really appreciate about the Puma King Platinum is its simplicity and honestly just purity in comparison to all the other football boots on offer in this particular category. The Lazertouch variation does introduce some new tech that doesn't really add any bulk. I do think you can argue that it's an improved variation. The question is it worth the extra $50 over the regular Puma King Platinum? We're gonna go over all the differences in today's video, answer whether or not they're worth it, and of course take a look at how they fit and feel on feet. So if you're interested in learning more, please stick around, watch the entire review, and if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, either the black and white or the white and black colorway, because there are two different options available, I'll leave a little pop-up on screen, or you can click the first link down below. That's going to take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes to pick these up below their normal $250 retail price. As far as extras go, the boots come in a regular gray and black Puma box with a return of the King sticker on the lid. Open it up and you'll find on the inside another return of the King sticker that you can stick places. They also include this right here, which I'm personally a big fan of. It's basically like a concept drawing of the regular King Platinum with all the tech specs laid out. I guess it doesn't really make sense because this is the King Platinum Lazertouch and this doesn't match that, but it's still pretty cool that they include it. And they also include a string bag, which is typical of Puma's limited edition stuff. They should, after all, they're 250 bucks. It's made out of a black mesh material that looks like the Adidas string bags, but is probably about twice as thick. Has the Puma logo there on the front, even has the internal zipper pocket, kind of like the Nike bags. It gets a string bag rating of 1947 out of 2,200. Now, as for the boots themselves, I want to be clear in saying that I don't think there's much wrong with the regular King Platinum. It is very high quality. It's less expensive than the Nike or Adidas alternatives. It fits really well. It's lightweight. It's sleek. I think is one of the best looking football boots on the market right now. And the sole plate and stud pattern is also top notch. Everything you could want from a modern leather football boot, in my opinion. Although, if I have one main criticism of this boot, and this is really more of a personal preference thing, it's that the shiny finish that they've done on the upper does leave it being a little bit slick on the ball, which again, some people really like that. Some people prefer to have a little bit more grip, which is really where the Lazertouch variation of this boot comes into play. Because you can see right off the bat, it has more of a matte finish to the leather. But if you look at all of this texturing here running along the lateral and medial side of the boot, especially here, that is again laser cut synthetic material that has been fused to the surface of the leather, and the texture of this material is kind of like, I don't want to say sandpaper because it's not that gritty, it's almost like a soft kind of suede sensation, but just very, very minor. It's remarkably thin and obviously very precise given that it has been cut by a laser, and the way that they've fused it to the upper really doesn't add any bulk whatsoever, but as soon as you make contact with the ball, it's immediately noticeable that there's a ton of extra grip. And let me clarify that statement, because by a ton of extra grip on the ball, I mean that there's definitely more grip than the shiny finish kangaroo leather that you get on the regular King Platinum. And honestly, if you're comparing this to Tiempo Legend 8 Elite or any of the Copa variations, 20 plus or 20.1, this definitely provides more grip. Is it anywhere near as grippy as what the Demon Skin rubber elements provide on the Adidas Predator 20 plus or 20.1? Definitely not, but for such a simple leather football boot, the finish on the surface is more grippy than I think most people would expect, which is definitely not a bad thing at all. As far as the quality of the leather itself is concerned, despite having a different finish and obviously some added material on the surface, it feels just as soft, super premium. And again, considering the price point, this being $250 rather than $200, I still think it's on par with just about anything as far as high-end leather football boots go. One difference you will notice though is that they have removed the internal kind of support cage structure that runs through the toe box area. If you look here on the regular King Platinum, you can see some internal ribbing right there. That is some form of structure that they seem to have removed here on the Lazertouch variation. They put in some lines to kind of make it have the same look, but the internal structure is not there. You'll also notice if you look really closely, and this is something I didn't notice until I saw the boots in person, there is some additional Lazertouch kind of grip elements, if you will, at the very tip of the toe, which I thought was an interesting detail because it's a very, very minor. But other than that, the upper feels pretty much the same. It's one piece almost all the way through. The only seam you're gonna find right here is on the medial side of the midfoot where you have this extra strip with some double stitching on either side. That's basically just there to add some structure, and I think it does its part really well. Is this a super responsive pair of football boots? Definitely not, but as far as leather boots go, especially considering the shape and just general fit of the boot, it does have some speed boot vibes to it. Obviously, it does have a one-piece construction in terms of the enclosure, where the middle part of the boot is filled in with some knitted material, fully elasticated. I actually really like this design, given what they went for with the rest of the King Platinum. And obviously, because of this one-piece structure, you do have a dual lace hole system as well that runs directly down the middle, nice and deep too, so you get a really good customized fit once you tie the laces tight. And again, lockdown is better than I think most people would expect. Moving to the rear, you'll find a low-cut construction with really the unique design element here being the squared back with the old school Puma King logo on the back. That's kind of the callback to classic Puma King models. And then internally, the heel liner is a synthetic leather material. That is probably the one complaint that I have about this boot. And it's not in regards to this heel liner being bad. I just really would have liked to have some form of synthetic suede as a liner, just because that's kind of my preference. And I really feel like it would suit this particular boot. Insole, fully removable. I'll give you guys a quick look at that. It is the standard kind of mesh material, very soft. Puma logo there on the heel, and it's made from a single layer of black foam. Moving to the base, you'll find the exact same setup as the Puma King Platinum in the form of the Rapid Sprint sole plate and stud pattern with the external heel counter, which is taken directly off of the Puma One line, which is kind of indirectly the speed boot offering from the Puma brand right now. And this really does have speed boot vibes to it. If I had to compare it to any other stud pattern from another brand, it's kind of like the Sprint frame or the Speed frame that we currently have on the X line, but I would argue a little bit more responsive in terms of the stiffness through the forefoot. It's not that it's not flexible, but it has that little bit of a spring back effect due to the rigidity, great rigidity through the midfoot and heel area. And then as far as the FGAG stud pattern is concerned, as I've said many times about Puma's FGAG layouts, I think the studs are maybe a little bit too long for most AG surfaces. I wouldn't say that they're unsafe, but this is definitely better suited for natural grass. And in terms of overall traction, especially on natural grass, I think it's a lot more aggressive than a lot of people would expect. Big fan of this sole plate, big fan of this stud pattern. I think it's really underrated. And then finally, there's the weight, which I think is a huge part of the appeal of the King Platinum, as well as the Lazertouch variation. Not a huge difference in construction, so the weight difference is minimal, but nonetheless, we're gonna weigh them for you in real time. Keep in mind, this is a size 9.5 US. We'll throw them on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at 7.2 ounces, the equivalent of 205 grams, which is technically a couple grams lighter than the regular King Platinum. Not exactly sure why that is, but it is technically lighter. And as far as just general high-end football boots go, that's definitely on the lighter end of things. As light, if not lighter, than some of the flagship speed boots out there right now. So I swapped out the stock black laces, which admittedly look fine given that these are mostly black boots, but the whole point of this colorway is to be black and white. So I swapped those laces out for what is admittedly one of my personal favorite lace designs, the white and black grid pattern SR4U replacement laces, which obviously match the colors of the boots. The pattern I think works really nicely in contrast with the laser cut pattern that you have on the upper itself. It's also a great way of changing up the style of your football boots in a very inexpensive way. So if you're interested in some replacement laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. There'll be a little pop-up on screen as well as a link down below in the description. So if you're interested in some for yourself, be sure to go ahead and check that out. On feet, the Lazertouch version of the King Platinum really doesn't feel any different from the regular model. The Kangaroo leather is equally as soft. It's pretty much the exact same thickness. The only difference difference you're going to find is the structure through the toe box area, like I mentioned, but that's honestly not something that you really feel at all when you're wearing the boots on feet. I think what's great about this design is it's very simple. You get the same material across the entire foot, which is great in terms of comfort, as well as great in terms of consistency in regards to touch on the ball. And also the boot has more of a speed boot-esque, very modern silhouette to it. So it's kind of a little bit slimmer, certainly lower in terms of overall volume, and definitely doesn't match up with the stereotype that I think a lot of people have when it comes to leather football boots, and that they're bulky. These are not bulky in any way at all. And again, considering how they fit, they're pretty comfortable, especially once broken in, once that leather has had the opportunity to soften up and stretch a little bit. Speaking of which, the width of this boot, they fit tight out of the box. That's exactly what you want. They definitely will stretch as you wear them in. And as long as you don't have super wide feet, I think these will fit most people. And as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is perfect. So if you're looking to order some for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. So in conclusion, is the Lazertouch version of the King Platinum worth the extra $50 over the standard version? And in my opinion, and kind of surprisingly, I think the answer to this question is yes, for most people. If you're still kind of a leather purist and you like having that kind of more old school, slick feel on the ball, save the money, go for the regular King Platinum. But I think most people who are maybe more used to modern football boots that have a little bit of a grippier finish on the surface, the Lazertouch texturing that they have on the surface of this leather makes it feel more modern in my opinion, and maybe a little bit easier to get used to if you're not used to wearing really slick upper football boots like the regular King Platinum. So in that regard, I think it is the ultimate version of the Puma King, and considering that you can get these with coupon codes for pretty much the same price as a regular King Platinum anyways, again, if you're on the market for a pair of Puma Kings, I would highly recommend the Lazertouch version. Plus, I just like the idea of making a football boot with lasers. Anyways, guys, that's it for this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. Again, if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, either the black and white or white and black colorways, you can click the first link down below. That's going to take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes to pick these up below their normal $250 retail price. If you have any questions, as always, leave them down below in the comments and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you. If you're not subscribed already, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. You can find all my social media information linked to down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.